Good afternoon, everybody. I'm meteorologist Jesse Hawila with a special update. As many of you have seen, ERCOT is asking everybody to conserve power this afternoon. We have a heat advisory in effect, and one of the reasons is, of course, we've seen a very long stretch of heat. And if you look here, this is the heat advisory that's in effect for tomorrow. We already have one for pretty much the same areas. Here's something to note here. The highest population centers in the entire state of Texas are really focused in this exact area. You have Houston, you have San Antonio, Austin, Waco, DFW. So this area here would easily account for a vast majority of the population of the entire state. And they're the ones that are seeing kind of the higher end of the heat. And you go into the North Texas area, all of North Texas again tomorrow, likely going to have to be in the same situation because if anything, it's just going to be just as hot, if not hotter, for some areas. Temps up to 105. Heat index values up to 109. So we have that. You look at the temperatures right now, it is really hot. In fact, I was going to say, funny how that works. I was going to say the only area that's not 100 degrees on this map is Gainesville, and it just clicked up to 100 at this hour. 102 in Dallas, 102 in McKinney, 104 in Terrell. So you see it's between 100 and 105 across all of North Texas, and heat index values pretty close. You kind of broaden out. To a wide view here of the state of Texas, 102 San Antonio and Austin, 102 DFW, 103 Waco, Houston's at 100 degrees, Wichita Falls 103, Abilene 104. So the core of the heat sitting pretty much right on top of the state of Texas. If we go to the airport, high today is actually now, if we go back, 102 is the temperature now. That was the high so far today. That's likely to change. The record's 107 set back in 1998. So another little bit of information on this heat. This is the 20th day this year that we've had triple-digit heat. In a given summer, we average 20 triple-digit days, and we've already hit that average. Anything on top of today is above average, and this is our 11th consecutive triple-digit day. So it's been a really long and hot stretch of weather that we've had, and of course that has Texans using lots of power. We're going to get up to Ariel Placencia. She's been tracking the latest on the ERCOT demand and supply. Ariel, what are we finding today?
Well, Jesse, we are 1 hour into that conservation alert, right? As you mentioned, ERCOT asking Texans to conserve that energy from now until 9 p.m. This is actually the second time they've asked us to do this week. We were asked to do it on Monday from 2 to 8 p.m., so for 1 hour shorter. And let me actually just pause for one quick second. We say ERCOT a lot, we throw that name around. That is the Electric Reliability Council of Texas. And so they operate the state's power grid, right? They move energy around the state. They make sure that everybody's got the electricity that they need. And so when you have hot days like today, or really cold ones like last year, we look to ERCOT's data and graphs to see how we're doing and where things stand, right? So let's take a look at this supply and demand graph right here. This blue line is going to be the demand, what we need, the purple capacity. And so obviously you want plenty of space in between the two of them, right? You want to make sure you have more than you need. You always want that purple line above the blue line. That's where we've been all day. But this graph updates in real time, right? So at 3:03, we're right here at this vertical gray line. Notice how close these two lines have gotten, which is different, right, than where we were earlier this morning. More space. It's slowly gotten smaller. And the concern is when you look forward to the afternoon and the evening, you will see the demand, that blue line, is actually above the purple. This fat purple line is that forecasted range of capacity. And there's some serious overlap, and they get pretty close as the night goes on. Now, let me say this. On Monday, I was looking at the same graph, keeping an eye on it, and at this time, there were certainly some similarities, right? Like I saw the graph kind of have some crisscross and some overlapping. But this gap that you see here today, the demand over the capacity, this is much larger today than it was on Monday. And so, as I mentioned, ERCOT has asked Texans to please reduce their power. Again, from now until 9 p.m., we are under that conservation alert. Normally, this graph is all green under normal conditions, and it's all the way filled in. It is yellow currently because, again, we were under that conservation alert. Take a look at this number right here. Operating reserves, we are at 2,600 megawatts. If this number gets below 1,000, under certain circumstances, that's when we could see some of those controlled outages. So that's certainly a number that we're going to be watching here as well. One more thing I want to note. I know we're walking through a lot of numbers, so make sure that I'm doing this slowly. On Monday, when they had that conservation alert, ERCOT said that right when that alert started, right around 2 p.m., they saw a 500 megawatt load drop off, right? And that helped them kind of make sure that we were all good, right? Once they had that, we saw this graph on Monday kind of separate and work its way out. The purple was above blue. We didn't have any problems on Monday. So that's certainly the hope here. ERCOT said that on Monday, that 500 megawatts, that was a mix of, Texans cranking that thermostat up to 79, not using those appliances, as well as those utility companies that have arrangements with small businesses and residents to sort of reduce the customer use under situations like this. So Jesse, that's certainly the hope that this conservation alert is going to work. But these numbers and these graphs are certainly something that I'm going to be keeping a close eye throughout the rest of the evening.
Ariel, thanks. One thing I wonder, and something that maybe we consider even talking to ERCOT about, our lows lately, Ariel, have not really dropped below 81, 82 degrees. So even at the nighttime, even though, of course, we get a little bit of relief from the usage, I wonder if they're not able to store quite as much as normal. They're still using a lot more than they normally would because even at night, it's still very warm.
That's a really good point, Jesse. And I was talking to ERCOT earlier today, and weather obviously plays a big role in this, right? And so they were saying that some of the issues for what we're seeing today, ERCOT says, is that there is some cloud cover over in West Texas, and so that's obviously not helping the solar panel situation. We have low wind at this point. That's what ERCOT's telling me, and so that's affecting this problem. And then you have some of those thermal outages that are down, and so all of these things at play, in addition to those hot temperatures and those not very low lows that you were talking about, it's kind of creating this perfect storm.
Ariel, thank you so much. And I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but we look long range. We have a 10-day forecast. If I bring this out 14 days, 21 days, we look longer than this, and we can get at least a general idea of what to expect. Of course, this is our exact forecast here. We have highs above 100 degrees over the next 10 days. Beyond the 10-day, I really don't see this pattern breaking down anytime soon. So it's something that we're going to have to hold in place for, because the rain chances are down too. Tomorrow, maybe we see a spotty shower or thunderstorm, and that's it. But then you look beyond that. Lows don't get below 80 degrees. Highs stay 100 or better. So we will continue to watch the situation with ERCOT, the demand, the supply that we have. Ariel is going to be on top of that. Join us at 4 o'clock on News 8, 4, 5, 6, and 10. We'll have the very latest for you then. In the meantime, thank you very much for joining us on this special cut-in.